Yesterday, the Reserve Bank governor surprised the Prime Minister by increasing interest rates during an election campaign, and the second time this has happened during the period of the existence of the Reserve Bank of Australia. But why did he do that? What were the pieces of information that he had that were previously unavailable? Well, there were two, and he revealed those two pieces of information in his speech. Now, one of those pieces of information that he revealed in his speech we anticipated, and the other one we certainly didn't. So the RBA governor in paragraph 3 of his statement yesterday said that he started to talk about the central forecast. Now, the central forecasts are those that are available later this week with the quarterly statement on monetary policy. And therein we have the central forecast that the RBA staff does for the Australian economy and a whole lot of other economies as well. So, but they aren't published until the end of the week. So this was news, and this news was included in the governor's statement yesterday. So the first piece of news was about unemployment. He said the central forecast for unemployment is to decline to around 3.5% by early 2023 and remain about this level thereafter. This would be the lowest unemployment in almost 50 years. Now, those who read my piece on the Australian budget, will remember that in that piece that I forecast that as opposed to the Treasury estimate of 3.75% unemployment, I thought that unemployment would fall to 3.5%. And so, therefore, this wasn't a surprise to me that the RBA came to the same conclusion, and they'll publish that in the quarterly statement of monetary policy later in the week. But then 2 paragraphs on, there's a piece of information which I certainly didn't anticipate, and that is that the central forecast for 2022 for headline inflation will be around 6%. I thought that might happen, but underlying inflation of 4.75%. Now, 4.75% for underlying inflation at the end of this year is way higher than the current level, which is 3.7%. Core inflation, the measure of core inflation we're talking about here is the trimmed mean of the CPI. So 4.75% by the end of the year, 3.7% now. But where that estimate was in the previous quarterly statement on monetary policy was 2.75%. So what that means is that the RBA's estimate of core inflation has moved up by 2 full percentage points in 1 quarter. And that is the essential reason, I think, that the RBA surprised the Prime Minister and increased rates yesterday. So what does that mean to us? That allows us to recalculate our model of where we think neutral interest rates are in Australia. And our model of neutral interest rates, which we publish 4 times a year in the quarterly, and sometimes in addition to that, in economic strategy, is a pretty good model. It explains 91% of monthly variation of short rates in Australia. And it has 3 components: core inflation, which is the core inflation we've just been talking about, inflationary expectations, and we have a measure of inflationary expectations, and also unemployment. And when we put those numbers that we've just been talking about into our equilibrium model for short rates, it gives us an equilibrium short rate for the cash rate in Australia of 3.7%. 3.7%, which is way higher than the consensus estimate for the end of this year, and probably higher than most estimates for next year. So what we think is going to happen is that the outlook is actually, for historians, pretty similar to that in the middle of the 1990s, where there was a rapid sell-off in bonds, a rapid increase in short rates, and that led to, a couple of years later, to a soft landing in the US and Australian economies, one of the few soft landings that's been achieved successfully. So what we think is that rates will go up after the Fed increases rates by 50 basis points this week. We think the RBA will put up rates by 40 basis points in June, and that will bring the rate up to 75 basis points. And then after that, they'll put up rates by 25 basis points every meeting until they get to an equilibrium short rate target of around about 3.7%. So therefore, what we've got is the bond sell-off generating, in turn, increases in short rates, and rates will be going up after this surprise start. Rates will be going up gradually, about 25 basis points in July, August, and pretty much continually until we get to the point where inflation tops out. And as the RBA suggests, we'll start to fall from that level of 4.75% down to about 3% sometime next year.